Hey guys, Jeff the Nature Guy here at ZooMontana with a special live edition of a great KOA video. I want to give a shout out to all you Care Camp kids out there and everybody else that's watching. Special shout out to KOA Campgrounds for making this possible, and of course Color 8 Television for being behind that camera. I want to talk to you all today about animals that you might encounter in the campgrounds around the country and maybe even in Canada. Let's start with one of the biggest and one of, well, maybe the scariest to a lot of you out there. These guys right here. Oh my gosh. You probably know what that is. Obviously, you know it's a bear, but it's a grizzly bear. And these are animals that, well, they're beautiful to see in the wild, but quite honestly, you probably don't want to see them in your campsite because, well, they can be kind of dangerous. So I'm going to give you a couple tips on how to keep yourself safe around these big giant bears should you happen to come across one. Now, first of all, you can see this guy here, his name is Bruno, and he's a big boy. And Bruno came to us because somebody had him in their backyard in a dog kennel illegally. Don't have a grizzly bear in your backyard, whatever you do. It's not a good idea, okay? So that's why he came to us at the zoo. But listen to this. So this guy here, he's about 20 years old, so he's up there in age, and he's about 700 pounds. Now, if you're camping and you're in grizzly bear territory, like here in Montana, which is where I'm at, couple things to do. First of all, if you're storing food, make sure you put that food up into a tree. Make sure you use a bear-safe bin if the campground has them, or keep that food locked away in a vehicle. Do not keep that food in a tent. No matter what you do, not a good idea. These guys, their sense of smell is incredible. And in fact, get this, their sense of smell 7 times better than a bloodhound. Unbelievable. So they're gonna smell that food. Second of all, always carry that bear spray, because no matter what you're gonna do, you're gonna wanna have that bear spray to keep yourself safe while you're out there hiking. It's the best way to deter a bear from getting around you. And last but not least, if you're walking out and about and one of these beauties sees you, stop and just hold your stance. Watch that bear. If that bear comes towards you, slowly walk back, but whatever you do, do not run, because that's gonna spur this bear to chase after you. And these guys can run 35 miles an hour. That's faster than an Olympic runner. So they're gonna catch you. Don't let that happen. But let's say the worst case scenario happens. I don't wanna be about doom and gloom here, but let's say that bear gets a hold of you. What do you do then? Play dead. Lay on the ground, go into that fetal position like this, and just wait it out. And remember, when a bear attacks, in most cases, they're attacking you for defense. They're not attacking you to eat you. So they're not gonna wanna eat you. They're gonna wanna get rid of you and then move on. So if you hold your ground, that's how you're gonna stay safe. But enough of the scaring you. I want to hear any questions you have. If you've got pictures of bears you've seen in the wild, put it in the comments right now, because I want to see those beautiful bears in the wild. They're so incredible to see while you're out in the great outdoors, especially in a place like Montana. Again, Bruno the grizzly bear. But guys, guess what? I heard a little rustle in the trees over there. So real quick, let's turn the camera off so we can be pretty stealthy and sneak up on what I think might be a pretty cool bird of prey over here. Let's go check it out. Come on.
All right, kids, while Jeff the Nature Guy gets us ready for our next cool animal, let's take a quick little quiz. What should you always carry with you when hiking in grizzly bear territory? A, a picture of your mom. B, bear spray. C, flowers. D, your dog. If you said B, bear spray, nice work. And always remember, if a grizzly bear approaches you and you don't have bear spray, remember to stop, hold your stance, and worst case scenario, play dead. All right, it looks like our crew made it over to the next animal. Let's send it back over to Jeff.
Oh, I was right. Look what's right here next to me, guys. a great horned owl. What a beauty. Now listen, those of you that camp, you may not see these that often, but you are certainly going to hear them because these great horned owls are all over North America. And what a beautiful animal they are. The first thing you're going to notice if you are lucky enough to see one, those eyeballs. Look at how big those eyes are. They're huge. And here, let's see if we can get him to turn his head to show you just what those eyes look like. Look at those things. Oh, and they're big like that for a reason because, well, those of you that camp, you hear them when? At night. And you know what that big word is? Type it in right now if you know it. Nocturnal, meaning they come out at night. And that's exactly what the great horned owl is. So you're going to hear them obviously at night when they're doing their hunting. Now those big eyeballs, of course, they serve a purpose. It's to allow them to see when it's not very light out, when it's dark outside. Now listen, they cannot see in the pitch dark. They need some sort of light in order to hunt. That could be anything from moonlight to a car light to even the light in your RV may actually help these guys hunt. Now get this, those eyes, they come with one problem. They're so big, they can't move them in their head. They're stuck. So you know how you and I, we can move our eyes back and forth. Not them. They're stuck in their head. So guess what they have to do? They got to turn their head almost all the way around. In fact, they can go almost all the way, not all the way, or their head would pop right off, but almost all the way around. They have extra bones in their neck that allow them to do that. Now, the other cool thing about these great horned owls I love talking about is where they get the name Great Horned Owl. Look at the top of his head, right up there. Look at those things sticking up. Everybody says, Jeff, those are ears. Nope, they're just feathers. And they're up there to help him camouflage in with his environment, but they look like horns, hence his name, Great Horned Owl. Now, while you're camping, like I said, you're going to hear these guys quite a bit, and they're going to be hunting things like, well, get this, small mice, rats, maybe even a rabbit. But guess what their favorite food is? What is the stinkiest animal you can think of? I think I heard it out there. Skunks, exactly right. These guys love to eat skunks. And unlike that grizzly bear we just met, Bruno, who's got a good sense of smell, this guy's got no sense of smell whatsoever. And so he can eat the stinkiest things and it just doesn't matter. And by the way, I want to tell you, this particular great horned owl, he's not wild. His name is Gable, and he's with us here at ZooMontana because he got hit by a car, and unfortunately, he lost his wing. He's only got one wing, so of course, can no longer fly, but we're going to take care of him. But hold on, I'm hearing something in the brush. Come here. I think I found something over here that I got to talk about because this is so exciting. Can you see under there? Let me see if I can lure out what I'm talking about right here. There is a porcupine in here, you guys. And porcupines are so incredible. Oh my gosh, let me see if I can get her to turn around to show you. And while you're camping, this is an animal that maybe you won't see, but your dogs will certainly find. And if you have a dog while you're camping, you're gonna wanna be careful because porcupines and dogs, well, they don't get along. And usually the porcupine is the one that wins that battle. And of course, you guys know porcupines, they have those giant quills on them that allow them to, of course, well, quill their foes out there, their enemies. And so what they're gonna do is, everybody thinks that she shoots her quills. And look at, there she is. There, look at that. She is making a getaway, but how cute is that? And you can see all those quills on the base of her tail right there. Wow, how amazing. But anyway, going back to what I said, everybody asks me, Jeff, these porcupines can shoot those quills, so why are you so close to it? Well, guess what? That's a myth. They can't shoot their quills. They can only release them. So what that means is when an animal like your dog goes up to it to sniff it, to see what it is, she's going to say, oh, no, I don't want that thing near me. And she's going to raise those quills. They're going to pop in that animal's nose, your dog's nose, and then she's going to release flex a muscle, and that's going to release those quills. And those quills are going to get stuck in the face. She's going to run away, and she's going to be nice and safe. And get this, it takes about 10 pounds of pressure to remove those quills out of your skin. So it is a painful process. But nonetheless, that face, we're going to see if we can get some close-ups of their face because she is just absolutely amazing. And they're members of the rodent family. So you think of mice and rats, you don't think of porcupines. She is one of the largest members of the porcupine family. In fact, they're behind the other rodent you might see when you're camping, the North American beaver. So keep your eyes out for those. Oh, I'm so excited we got to see a porcupine while we were out here. But guys, just while I was filming this, you won't believe this. I heard the call, you're gonna not believe this, of a Canada lynx just across the way. Should we go check it out? Yeah? Let's do it. Oh, I gotta get out of here. The porcupine's coming for me.
Who's ready for another quiz? Jeff said owls are nocturnal, but what does that mean? A, they change into a human at midnight. B, they come out at night. C, they like spaghetti. D, they don't give a hoot. If you answered B, they come out at night, give yourself a pat on the back because you are correct. 3 of their most distinguishing characteristics are their big, beautiful eyes, how their heads can almost turn all the way around, and their feathers that look like ears. Incredible. Okay, and we don't want to forget about the porcupine. Do you remember what family Jeff said they belong to? A, rodents. B, reptiles. C, your family. D, cats. If you said A, rodent, great job. The porcupine's greatest feature are their giant quills that take 10 pounds of pressure to remove from your skin. Ouch! All right, let's check back in with Jeff and see what he's got going on now.
Hi. Yeah, I'll let you get some good shots of her while she's up there. Oh yeah, it's perfect. Oh my gosh, did you guys just see that? Went right up to the camera. Look at this. She's hiding over here now. She's running. Oh, she's on this side over here now. She's all over the place. That, you guys, was a Canada lynx. In fact, that particular one you just saw that went up and sniffed you, that was Fiersa. Oh my gosh, here she comes again. Now, as she's coming over here, before I talk about Fiersa herself, I want to talk about lynx. Now, you may be lucky enough to see one of these guys, but I'm going to be quite honest. They are stealthy, which means they love to be secretive. And so while you're out camping at a campground, it's going to be hard to see these. So if you see them, consider yourself one of the luckiest humans on this planet, because what an animal to see in person. Now, as she's walking, you're going to notice a couple things about her. Now, if you can really hone in on those feet, look at how big those feet are. And that's what makes a Canada lynx so special, is that she's got these giant, giant feet. They're like built-in snowshoes, because the Canada lynx, they love to live up in the northern parts of the U.S. and up into Canada and Alaska and what have you. And so obviously there's a lot of snow up there. And so what these animals love to do is they hunt things called snowshoe hares. Those are those white rabbits that you see a lot of times on nature shows. About 98%, so almost all their food are those snowshoe hares. Well, those hares, those rabbits, they're really good at running away from their predators, and so she's got to have some pretty special. And our cameraman just met Fiersa up close and personal. She just jumped on our cameraman's back, if you can believe that, and he did a really good job and not panicking. I'm really proud of him. But anyway, these hares, they are so good at running that they have to be just as good to catch them. And if you've ever tried to run in snow, it is not easy. But if you put on a pair of snowshoes, you can do it so much better, because you can actually run across the surface, which is pretty amazing. And so those big shoes are just that. They are allowing, I'm going to move it again. They are allowing her to run on that surface. And boy, Fiersa loves Mr. Connor, who is behind the camera right here and just having a blast. Now, you might be wondering, why are we not worried about Fiersa? And she's doing it again. Here, what are you doing? Get out of here.
What are you doing?
Oh, funny. All right. I don't know how do we want to do that? How do we want to get back in?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Dude, what is she doing?
Yeah, right?
What's she doing?
She's just loving on him, I guess, biting him a little bit too. Yeah.
Giving me a little love
Yeah,
here.
exactly. So again, that's what those feet will be for, to run on that surface. Now, the other thing about these Canada lynx is that you're going to notice they don't have a tail. And that's because they are not a climbing cat. They're not going to be climbing that often up in trees and what have you. They're going to spend most of their time on the ground running after their prey, but they can jump. She can actually jump about 6 feet in the air from a standstill. I mean, just a remarkable animal to see out in the wild. And my gosh, just look at that. While I got her here, look at those ear tufts up on her ears up there. Those ear tufts, funny thing is, we don't know what they do. A lot of the theories are it helps them hear. It might help them sense the wind direction when they're trying to find a prey item. What an amazing critter. And of course, look at that fur, look at that tail. Oh, I'm so excited that we got to meet Fiersa the lynx. And get this, why is she so nice? Why am I not worried about her taking down Mr. Connor here? Well, the reason is she was actually kept as a pet. I don't recommend you do that. You shouldn't have a lynx in your house. Somebody did. They couldn't keep her anymore, and so we adopted her here at the zoo. But because she was raised by people, she's very, very nice. And in fact, does a lot of traveling into schools and, of course, meets a lot of kids like you. Pretty cool. But talking about stealth, I cannot do this video without talking about one of the stealthier animals out there. An animal that, again, if you've seen in person, you're very lucky, and I'm talking about the wolf. You guys want to meet some wolves right now? I see you nodding your head. Let's do it. Let's go check out some wolves. I have a little feeling that I know where a couple are living. Let's go check them out.
Wow, I think Connor and Fiersa became best friends out there. I also think Jeff the nature guy is right. Fiersa seems to love Mr. Connor. But did you see how big Mr. Connor's eyes got when she jumped and gave him a hug? All right, quiz time. What do a lynx's giant feet help them do? A, stink up their house. B, play basketball. C, get their teacher's attention. D, walk on the snow. If you answered D, walk on the snow, you're absolutely right. This helps them hunt snowshoe hares with a little more ease. Okay, are you ready to see some wolves? Me too. Jeff, take it away.
Come here. We got it. Look it. Oh, you guys know what that is, don't you? The largest canine in the world, the gray wolf. And if you are fortunate enough to be camping out in the Great West, maybe, just maybe, you might be lucky enough to catch a glimpse of one of these beauties out and about while you're out there doing the outdoors thing. Now listen, here's the thing about wolves. If you are camping, maybe you'll even hear them at night. And I'll be honest with you, you're sitting around a campfire, if you hear the wolves out in the woods, it's gonna be one of the creepiest things you probably ever hear, especially if there's a big old full moon out there to make things look creepy. But the myth is that it requires a full moon for a wolf to howl. Not at all. They actually howl not to be creepy. It's a communication. So that's how they talk. You know how we talk to each other just like we're doing right now? Yeah, well, these guys, they do the same thing, but they use their howls in order to communicate. Now, gray wolves are, I think, one of the most beautiful animals out there. But guys, I have to be honest with you because I don't like telling lies. Wolves are not always loved, especially here in the Great West. And the biggest reason is because they are predators. And sometimes predators, they scare a lot of people. They can hurt livelihoods in terms of cattle. But I do want to tell you one important thing that I want you to remember about wolves. They are so important to the ecosystem. Even if you don't like them, they are crucial to an environment. Because if you've ever been to a place like Yellowstone National Park, we know what happens when you take the wolves out of a ecosystem, because it happened in Yellowstone. And when the wolves were taken out, everything fell apart. The elk and the deer came out of the mountains. They took over the park. They ate a lot of trees. They ate a lot of bushes. That created dead zones, and the sunlight then came into the water, and all the fish and the beavers left. So wolves play a really important role to so many species out there. But again, if you are lucky enough to be out and about and catch one of these guys, take it for what it is, the beauty of seeing such an amazing and remarkable animal up close and personal. And we have two gray wolves here at the zoo, Callie and Kahlua. You're looking at Callie right here, and oh, I just cannot get enough of these beautiful animals. My favorite thing about them, by the way, they are pack animals. They will hunt together in a group. They use teamwork. Who out there doesn't love teamwork? I know a lot of you out there, you work with teams a lot. Teams make things better. It's like you're hanging out with your friends and working together as a group. How awesome. Okay, one final thing I gotta show you. And I gotta talk about fears, because the next animal I know we're gonna come across, because yeah, we're gonna do it. We're talking snakes. And guess what? I just got a call on my radio from one of my zookeepers here. There's a snake way over on the other side of the zoo in our plaza. Let's go check it. Don't you shake your head. We are going to check it out. Let's go and check out a snake. Come on.
Wow, absolutely beautiful creatures. Now I'm having a hard time remembering. Do you know why wolves howl? A, to communicate. B, to wake up the neighborhood. C, to creep you out. D, because there is a full moon. What? Did you say A, to communicate? I knew I could count on you guys. And don't forget, Jeff the Nature Guy said they play an important part in our ecosystem, always working in teams. Isn't that nice? Teamwork is always the greatest. All right, I think I've delayed long enough, especially if you're fearsome of snakes. Let's see what the call over the snake was all about. Jeff?
You guys, my keepers are right. Look at this. We found one. We found a snake right here in the plaza of the zoo. This is actually a bull snake, but those of you that camp, no matter where you're at in the country or in Canada, you're probably gonna come across a snake while you're out in the campground. And here's a couple things to remember. Snakes don't wanna eat you. They don't wanna chase you. In fact, no offense, but they don't wanna have anything to do with you. Snakes are one of the most feared animals, and there's really no reason to fear them. Let me tell you a couple cool things about snakes. First of all, come here. I want to see if we can get a close-up, because I want to see if this... Now, I don't recommend you go out in the wild and pick up a snake, especially if you don't know what you're doing, but I'm going to pick this guy up because I want to show you something. Look at that mouth. You see that thing coming out? You guys know what that is. That's his tongue. How many of you know what that snake is doing with that tongue? Write the answers. I think I see it. They're smelling. Good job. Everybody thinks, now wait a minute, they're sticking that tongue out because they're being mean to me. Not at all. They're smelling with that tongue. So his tongue comes out of his mouth, gets all the smells of the air on that tongue. They pull that tongue back into their mouth, and then they have a little holes on the top of their mouth that they plug their tongue into, bloop, and it tells his brain what it is he's smelling. And he's smelling right now because I'm new. He wants to make sure I'm not something that's worth eating. But guys, what I just told you is snakes don't want to eat you. You know why? Because we're way too big. I am way too big for this beauty right here to eat. So keep that in mind. Now, the reason I don't want you going up and catching a wild snake, especially if you don't know what you're doing, because you got to make sure it's not a venomous snake. Snakes kill their food two ways. One is they bite them, and they put venom in you. Or two, they squeeze you. Give your brother or sister, your mom and dad the biggest hug you can right now. That's how they kill their food. They squeeze it. This one here, I was able to go up to it because I know that this is a squeezer. This is actually called a bull snake, and they're what we call a constrictor. So that means they're gonna catch their food, wrap around it, squeeze it, and then that animal's gonna be done for, and then she's gonna swallow it whole. And that's where it gets cool. They can open their mouth so incredibly wide that they can swallow these animals whole. In fact, if you and I could swallow something as big as a snake could in comparison to our body, you'd be able to swallow a basketball. Could you imagine? Yeah, you'd be able to eat the whole Thanksgiving turkey at Thanksgiving. How awesome is that? And you know what she's doing right now? She went over to get some sun because they're cold-blooded. That doesn't mean she's got cold blood running through her veins. That means that she loves to have the sun recharge her batteries. Don't look at the sun. You have it to recharge their batteries. Those of you that have a cell phone, you got to plug it in every night. Well, she has to do the same thing. She rolls out of bed. She can't get a bowl of cereal like you and I can. She's got to go to the nearest rock, get the sun to bake her, recharge those batteries, and then she can go out and find her food. Oh, what a cool animal. And if you're in North America, like I said, you got a really good chance of finding a snake. And there are so many incredible and beautiful species of snake out there. And again, if you're fearful, it's okay. I meet a lot of people that don't like snakes, but just remember, they're not out to get you. Maybe get out your binoculars, look at them from a distance, and enjoy it for what they are, because they are one of the most important animals that we have on our planet. They do some amazing work for all of us in the world. That's a cool thing to remember. Okay, guys, hopefully you loved this little journey with me. I want to give another thank you to KOA Campgrounds. They do such an amazing job with Care Camp and all you great kids out there. Let's give a shout out to Color 8. Mr. Connor back here, Mr. Andrew over here. They are the ones doing all the great work, getting attacked by a lynx to ensure all of you get to see these cool animals. And again, I am Jeff the Nature Guy. And guys, I hope I get to see you out this summer doing some camping, enjoying the great outdoors, and enjoying those great KOA campgrounds. Guys, we'll see you real soon. I got to go and find another animal. See ya.